In the fall of 2020, 0 to 3 launched the Building Strong Foundations for Families project. This initiative allowed 10 states from across the nation to develop public-private core teams to focus on building and strengthening comprehensive policies, programs, and systems to ensure that families with infants and toddlers have what they need to thrive. Teams worked in and across states to assess disparities, take concrete steps to reform policies, and increase equitable access to services. A core component of this work was ensuring that families have a voice at decision-making tables. State teams embraced this concept and learned as they implemented. We interviewed participants from the BSFF states, and here's what some of them had to say about lifting up and centering family voice.
I think what we're learning more and more is that government is a reflection of the people, but unless those people's voices are at the table, then we can't accurately do the work that we need to do to represent them and to ensure that their needs are met. So by incorporating parent voice and by making sure that we're really listening instead of just acting and reacting and thinking so politically, we have the opportunity to shift the way that we do our work. And we're continuing to come out with series of recommendations. When we found out that there was a budget surplus, we got to engage with stakeholders, with parents to find out, in the event that there is this money that can be allocated, how would it serve you? What could we do? What's the dollar amount that would really make a sustainable change in your life, in your community, in your work, in your industry?
I'll give you one example of that. As we were looking at how to invest the dollars that were coming from the COVID relief funds, whether those be the CRRSA or the American Rescue Plan Act dollars, one of the things that we heard loud and clear from the families, in part through this project as well as other efforts, was the need to help them out financially by waiving parent copays during this time period. As a result of that parent voice and that parent perspective, that was the number one or one of the very top strategies that we implemented in using our federal relief dollars.
Ways in which that we are trying to center racial equity now is by building parent champions. And we are working very diligently to approach groups in our state without the intent of being extractive or exploitive of their experiences that are different from white children.
We're working on a framework for Arizona around family engagement and elevating the voice, bring together partners to discuss and dialogue about that. And we have good commitment for moving forward.
But wanting to approach those conversations and those relationships from a very patient place of trust building, where we are not just coming in, trying to get a few sound bites and then leaving and abandoning these partnerships, but really coming at a place of wanting to build long-term partnership with our tribal communities, with our Latinx communities, and with our refugee communities in the state of Idaho.
When you talk to parents, especially people with lived experience on the ground who are struggling with whatever issue you're trying to address or fix or improve, they're going to talk about it in very different ways than what we in the advocacy world talk about it.
But to actually listen to the families and what they might need across different projects, needs, policies, and then find how you might be able to support that.
Talking with a mom and wondering, wow, how is she doing that, right? Could I do what she's doing? And it makes the policy, it puts more of a human face and a human experience on the policy. So starting with the guiding principle that engaging families and respecting their voices and choices was an important part of our process as well.
And so a lot of parents talked about just feeling squeezed. It's like feeling you have no options. And that's a common, and not just a lack of infant and toddler care, but also just, housing is expensive and transportation is difficult to come by, and services and stuff are really far away because housing is not affordable. They have to live far away from things. And, it's sort of, that's how they talk about it. And so I guess what I took away from what I heard from parents was that it's been getting worse for a long time. And it used to be this thing that only a certain number of people struggled with, and it's just been sort of slowly been getting worse and worse and worse and worse.
But we learned some lessons, and they were good lessons to learn, and that is the lesson of respect and patience, and to appreciate the differing voices at differing times.
And by taking a step back to say we're here to listen as the state, it really allowed us to act in an informed way that I believe is going to benefit our community in a much more sustainable and authentic way.
To learn more about elevating family voice to achieve equitable policies and the Building Strong Foundations for Families project, visit the links below.